Okay, everybody, it is 4:05, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Just a couple of things I wanted to go over at the start of the meeting. If you are not speaking, go ahead and just keep yourself muted. Lee and I will be doing a lot of the talking, but we will open it up to conversation. So feel free to unmute or leverage the chat. We're both going to be kind of watching the chat, trying to include you guys, but don't feel like you have to put yourselves on video. We would love to see you all, but we are on video so that you guys can see us. And this is very laid back, conversational, meant to help you and connect you all to each other, which is what the challenge is for. So we'd love to see your faces. Don't feel like you have to, and don't feel like you have to unmute. The participation is not based on if you speak during the meeting or if you are using the chat. It's just that you are participating in the webinar, being on the Zoom call. So if you have any questions about participation, go ahead and reach out to me privately. You can email me, call me, anything that you need. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So everyone, my name is Jamie. I am the AISD Wellness Coordinator. You've probably seen a lot of messages from me, a lot of communications coming from me. So I do a lot of the work that's on our wellness portal that you are all a part of. You've all registered for the challenge. So I really hope that you guys are enjoying yourselves. But as part of the challenge, we really wanted to bring you all together to kind of discuss how it's going. So we all have a collective goal. We're going through the challenge together. We're all essentially working towards the same end goal, but have much different experiences. So I'd love to get into talking about them. But first, I'm going to hand it over to Lee so that she can introduce herself as well. And in the meantime, I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, and I will be adding ours at the end as well. But go ahead, Lee.
Hi, everyone. I see a lot of familiar names and faces on here. It's good to see everybody again. My name is Lee Ennis, and I have been with the district since January of 2019. And I work primarily with the district's condition management programs. We've got our diabetes program, our Wonder Health program, the tobacco cessation program, and our pregnancy resource toolkit. So those are primarily what I work on currently at the district. And I'll add my contact information just as Jamie did as well.
Great, thank you. So we are just a few weeks into the challenge. I know we had registration open during January, but it's been a couple weeks. So just to start off and make sure that we are utilizing our time very well, I want to open it up to anyone in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourselves. Let's start off with just how everything is going with the challenge. I know a lot of you have put your goals on the social wall. You've been messaging each other on there. I think that's great. But anyone have any progress reports, anything you want to share about how the challenge is going? Any questions? Want to recognize someone for something that they've done well? Anything like that? You can go ahead and unmute. Okay, no problem. Well, there's a few things that I have actually seen on the social wall that I want to bring up. So you guys are doing a great job. I love that everybody is commenting on my post where you have to answer the questions. We connect them a little bit for really on the part of the challenge that you have to answer the reflection questions. I try and keep them kind of organized so that they are similar and we're kind of going with progress. But does anybody want to share any information about their decisional balance worksheet that we have done the past couple weeks? And I am watching the chat, so we are going to talk about those as well. But the decisional balance worksheet was with the 4 squares. You had pros and cons of making a change and not making a change. If anybody wants to share anything specific, go ahead and unmute, or we can put that in the chat as well. So I'll give that just a minute or two so we can watch. Okay, just a few things coming up in the chat. Yes, Manny, thank you. That's great. I think that really having the reminder to go on the portal is a great option, and I hope that you guys are utilizing that. How often do you guys really go on to the portal and track your wellness reflections? If I can ask if anybody would like to share. Do you go on every day or maybe once a week? Or when do you do the reflection questions and check off the box every day that you do your reflections? Does anybody like to share? 2 times a week, okay. Okay, so it looks like a couple times a week. Do you use any other form of tracking to kind of mark off the days that you do the reflections? If you are going in just a couple of times a week, like do you mark it in your phone? Do you write it down? Do you maybe just remember? Planner, fitness journal. Okay, awesome. Great. Okay, lots of journals. So lots of ways that you guys write them down, kind of use them in your personal life. Oh, nice. Bookmark on your computer. I do the same thing. I have the portal bookmarked on all my computers. Bookmarked. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, we love to hear it. Okay, great. So it seems like a lot of you are really kind of journaling on your own and then going on to the portal and marking those down. Great. Perfect. Lee, have you seen anything else in the chat that you want to bring up?
I see there were a couple questions at the very top. I see that Kim, I believe it was Kim. Kim asked, can we really get points for housekeeping?
For activity minutes? Is that what you mean, Kim?
Yeah, I went in this morning to record my day, like on my tracker, and I normally just put like yoga, running, stretch, and I said, well, let me see what they have here. And I went through from A to Z, and there's literally housekeeping, yard work. I'm like, dang, I'm going to get a lot of points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So the short answer is yes. On the portal with activity minutes, you can sync your wearable tracker, which I know a lot of you have done because we've talked about it. I recognize a lot of your names, but you can sync or you can actually go in manually. And the advantage to entering your activities manually is that, just like you said, from A to Z, there's almost any activity that you can think of. And a huge part of that is because it's really all inclusive. I know that stretching is on there because it depends. We have all different levels of ability, physical abilities, maybe certain limitations with types of exercise. Maybe some of you have injuries. So to allow for activity minutes, it's really any intentional activity that you're doing that is going to relate to maybe movement or breathing or your health, which is why, we even include stretching. If some of you were part of our last challenge, we did include, we had Camp Gladiator partnering with us so that we were able to get you guys some fitness classes for your activity minutes. But it's really going back to forming those goals, forming those habits. So any physical activity, it's just making intentional time to do some of those. But housekeeping can be pretty hard work. So yes, we do count that as activity minutes. And it's just another way that you can go on and kind of log what you're doing so that you can see a full picture of, your activity throughout the day, throughout the week, and then eventually, with those stats, they add up. So you can see them throughout the month, throughout the year, and really kind of compare. And that brings up something else that we all just talked about on the social wall and that came up in the challenge is, for example, bad weather that we had last week, and then of course the lack of clean water that we had immediately available to us. When it rains, it pours. So all of that at once. But for example, maybe you were doing yard work, and then with the bad weather, you weren't able to do that outside. So you transitioned into housekeeping, or, work around the house, spring cleaning almost. It's a little bit warm today. It kind of feels like spring, but it's really just being able to take whatever you are all doing individually in your lives and being able to track it on the portal. It's a great option for, really seeing your fitness levels, your health levels, and being able to be proud of yourselves, because I see a lot of your activity minutes and you have great numbers. There's a lot of high lifetime activity minutes, which we're also incentivizing this year. So it's a great way to really get those on there and then get some really cool wellness prizes as well. So great question.
And I think just piggybacking off of what Jamie said, one thing that I have said to people that I've worked with for years is, even if it doesn't seem like it's necessarily a workout, going to the gym, going for a run, it's really important to just optimize opportunities for physical activity that you do have. I work with a lot of people at the bus barns, and some of them will take a 10-minute walk up and down the parking lot and incorporate that in. If you can't get an hour or 30 minutes at once, it's okay to take small breaks and make those small opportunities for 10 minutes here and there that you do have. And those all add up at the end of the day as well. So, if you can't get a big chunk of time out at once, that's okay. You can break them up and just take advantage of the small amounts of time that you do have.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And we see people walking outside of the district office all day long, at different campuses when I visit and do my wellness presentations and come out to meet all of the employees. I see people walking around. It's a great option, but physical activity and exercise may not always be conventional in the way that we think about it. But, we love to be inclusive and really open it up. I love when you are all very creative. Some things I've seen on the social wall are so creative that even I haven't thought of them. So I've been taking some notes, kind of saving some of those things for myself. But that's another piece that we've really been discussing recently is consistency over quantity. So, maybe you think that working out once a week, running really, really far one time might seem like a great idea if that's all you have time for, but it really comes down to, with habit formation, when you're doing small things every day, it's about that consistency. And a lot of times, if you reframe large goals or projects or tasks or anything that's kind of staring at you in the face and seems overwhelming at times, if you break it down into smaller pieces, even the barriers will also seem smaller. So if you look at like one really hard, long workout during the week compared to a couple minutes every day or a couple of times a day, every day of the week, it's just about that reframing. You may see some more success with that. So I know a lot of you have really been talking about your goals around nutrition and eating better and drinking more water. Those go very hand in hand. But has anybody maybe experienced something new that they've tried in terms of nutrition goals, or maybe some tips and tricks that have really helped you keep up with your goal, or really keep consistent with it that you'd like to share? Whether you want to unmute or put it in the chat, go right ahead. Yes, drinking water on a consistent basis. It really is amazing. I don't know about you guys, but there are days that I don't drink water enough or as often during the day as I should, and you can really feel it. And even just drinking like one glass of water when you're starting to feel dehydrated makes such a big difference. Yeah, Sharon, I understand that too. Like days you have back-to-back meetings, you can't really get to the water fountain, can't use the restroom, don't really have those breaks. So that can definitely be tough. Having a routine. Yeah, Shelly, that's good. That's definitely helpful. I think this was it was really funny when Lee and I came into the office during our boil advisory, because we both trying really hard to drink a lot of water every day. So we both had to bring in our boiled water from home. And when we both showed up, we had multiple containers of water each because of how much water we drink during the day. So we both came in with like gallons and gallons of water. And it was definitely tough. It really puts it in perspective when you don't always have those water fountains or those opportunities to drink water and add more water. So yeah, I understand that, Sharon, with just the timing. And then if it breaks up your routine, that can definitely be tough. I've seen people put sticky notes around their desk all day. So we'll be walking like down the halls and people put sticky notes that say drink water. We love that. Kim, I do see your question about when you're feeling hungry that you're actually feeling thirsty. I wouldn't say that's the case 100% of the time, but it is very often when you are thirsty, it may come across as hunger. And a lot of times, if you are feeling really hungry, a great option to start out a meal or a snack is with a glass of water first, because that's going to help your digestion. It's going to help you feel better and really kind of overall improve the next thing that you eat.
I want to speak to Sharon and Elizabeth. I know I'm pretty sure you guys are teachers. That's I think from recognizing your names, and I know that you guys can't just get up and walk out of the classroom to use the restroom because you guys have kids. So certain tricks that I've told people to use, if possible, instead of waiting until the very end of the day, when you wake up in the morning, drink a glass of water. On your way to work, drink a glass of water. Once you get the kids in, I know you can't, step away to go to the restroom or things like that, but you can take small sips to keep yourself somewhat hydrated. Maybe take advantage if you have a break at lunch to step away to use the restroom. Just instead of you waiting all day to drink the water, and then, we don't want you to have dehydration and feel tired, because that will put you in a whole other headspace. So instead of waiting it and slamming at the very, very end of the day, maybe balance it out and do a little bit in the morning, and again, optimizing opportunities and being realistic as to the time that you have, instead of just waiting the entire day and being dehydrated and feeling terrible when you get home. That could be an option.
Yeah, good point, Lee. I definitely agree. And something else that, we can always work on is just being okay with, some things that we can't change and that we may not always be perfect. So there are some days that you're not going to drink enough water. And then there's some days that maybe you drink too much water. But, the days that you feel better about it and days that you don't feel as good. But it's all still progress towards a goal. So every day is a new day. You have an opportunity to make some of these controllable changes that we've talked about in the challenge. Maybe if you don't have time to fill up your water as often, you can get a bigger water container or even have multiple, and then you don't have to go as often to fill up your water. So when you do get a minute or two to kind of step away from your desk or, aside from the classroom or something, you still have water to drink during the day. But really having that self-compassion is something that's going to help you be successful almost more than anything else, because there are things that you can't control, and you're not going to be 100% hydrated every day, as much as we would love that, and we'd all probably feel a lot better being more hydrated. It's just not realistic. So being able to adapt and maybe look at certain situations, get creative, find out where you can make improvements, that's going to be where a lot of our success is going to be driven from. And it's awesome, and really celebrating those wins. And when you're hydrated and you're able to drink more water, you have a successful day, going back and looking at maybe what made that so successful, what changes you were able to make, why they were so great, and, keeping track of it. There's nothing wrong with really cheering for yourself, being proud of yourself, and feeling good, because then ultimately, with a lot of you in schools, that's kind of why we're all here, you know, to support students, the community, each other. So if our students in the schools and at campuses, and we've even, you know, seen different people from the community here at district office, them seeing all of us drinking more water, forming these healthy habits, having nutritious lunches, it does trickle down into the kids' lives. And, you know, if they see you running to the water fountain all day long to drink more water, maybe they'll start doing it too, you know, and then just kind of getting the word out. So it may seem like kind of a mountain in front of us, but all these habits that we're working on together, you know, whether the success is a straight line or not, you know, it may not be, but it does trickle down into the students' lives. And that's really great to see. And I know some of you have put on the social wall that you really enjoy talking to students about health and helping educate them. So it really just kind of shows that that comes out from what we do. But yeah, definitely. That reminds me that I probably have not had enough water today with the warm weather, but yeah, we do love to see that. And I love that you guys put that in the social wall. It's very common. We've seen a lot about water drinking and nutritious meals. So thank you guys for sharing. Does anybody have any questions about the challenge in standing with the Sherman token that we can ask maybe the group here that's also participating in the challenge? So maybe something that is a barrier for you, or if you can't get past something and you want to ask, you know, us for some advice or each other for some advice, anything like that, I will invite you to unmute or go ahead and put it in the chat. We'll wait a few minutes to see if anybody has anything. Maybe we can start with this. It might make it a little bit easier, but with the picture of Sherman, which is our wellness challenge token for really the writing that you completed the daily task, where did you all put your Sherman token in your house or intentional space, or on your phone? Where is it on your phone? So feel free to answer in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. But like the specific room, or like maybe if you put it on your TV, your fridge, anything like that. Let's see where everybody put theirs. Great. I love reading all of these. So I really like, Shelly, I like that you have more than one. I think that's really creative, so that you really, you know, reminding yourself wherever you go to look at it and do the 3 minutes. I love that. Laminated, that's great. Yeah, I see. It seems like a lot of really convenient spaces. Let me ask, did anybody start out with their Sherman in a certain place and then maybe moved it somewhere else. Maybe somewhere that worked a little bit better. I know something that I do at home is if I really need to remember something, maybe to bring it with me or just remember to have it or something like that. If I'm leaving home, I will put it on my front door handle or literally in front of the door so that I can't open the door without seeing it or tripping over it. Or I will put it somewhere that I know I'm going to be. So in my kitchen, my front door is past my kitchen. So I know I'm going to walk by it. I know I'm going to see it. So that's where I would put my Sherman token is there's a little wall right by my front door where I always, when I walk in, I see it. Before I walk out, I see it. So that's something that can also be really helpful. And being flexible with being able to move it, like I said, in the first couple weeks, if something is not working for you, if maybe you put it in a really inconvenient room for you to have to walk over to, feel free to move it. And that's the great part about setting your own goals and really working towards your own goals. It's personal to you. And, there's no rules in saying that you can't change it or be adaptable. So I think those are great options. Serenity, I like that. You had to move him. Had to move Sherman. See, just make sure we're not missing anything in the chat. Serenity, that's funny. You had to move him. He was getting a little bit beat up at the office. So if anybody would like to share, feel free. But my next kind of discussion topic that I want to talk about is on the portal for the challenge, we really made it 3 minutes for reflecting with your Sherman token so that it's minimal effort. You should be able to find 3 minutes out of your day to focus on this. And then eventually, as it becomes a habit, maybe you can spend more time. You can spend that 3 minutes more times per day, something like that. But really the question is, how does this translate into actual wellness and healthy habits? So maybe we can talk about exercise, nutrition, maybe it's meal prepping, maybe it's sleep, maybe it's mindfulness, self-care, hobbies that you like, anything like that. If anybody would like to share, feel free. So what we're thinking is, as we move on to the challenge, there comes a point where maybe something like what happened last week, if we have bad weather, or something may stand in the way of us completing this goal, of us being able to fulfill this routine, form this habit. There are barriers that we can't foresee, challenges that we might not be able to surpass all the time. So if you ever feel like you're maybe forgetting something when you're forming a habit, that's a real telltale sign that you are forming a habit and that it's becoming part of your routine. So starting out with just 3 minutes of reflection, 4 times a week, but whenever you choose to do it. So just reflecting, it really kind of sets us up for success. So looking forward, when you take the time and make it very intentional in the beginning and just 3 minutes, it's very minimal effort. you're able to grow and build on that. And I think that that's, a lot of times very helpful with people that are working towards their own goals is you don't have to start out at the top. Progress takes a lot of time. Everybody has to start somewhere. So we thought 3 minutes was a great place to start. Eventually, and I know some of you have mentioned this, which is awesome, but you started doing actual wellness activities while you're reflecting. So first, maybe the first couple of weeks, you can start out and just think about what are your wellness goals? What does wellness mean to you? How do you think of wellness? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Maybe there are some things that you want to work on that you just haven't really set aside time to think about very often. Those are all very important things, and they don't have to be answered in one day, 1 week. They can be ongoing. And I think that's the great part of having personalized goals for, maybe you, your family. Maybe you have a friend group that has a collective goal. Maybe within the district, you guys are doing your own SNAP challenges, or you have people at your campus that have similar views, similar wellness vision, similar goals. It's great. It can always be changing. You can always be adapting. Nothing is set in stone. So starting out with just a reflection and then maybe moving into activities and then eventually up to real lifestyle changes, I think it's great. And I love that you are all participating. I hope it's being very helpful for you. Something else that really a lot of times we see in the kind of wellness space, Lee and I, is that, when you plateau with a goal, that is a great real telltale sign that, maybe you're ready for another challenge. So for some of you, if you have been meeting this goal, 80, 85, 90 or above % of the time, maybe you're a pro already at standing and reflecting in front of your wellness token. Maybe you do it every day, more than 4 times a week, something like that. Maybe you can make it a little bit more challenging, or, just kind of up the intensity a little bit. So maybe a 3-minute plank or calf raises, or, something. I definitely can't do a 3-minute plank, but maybe you could work up to it. You start with 30 seconds, something like that, that really kind of re-challenges yourself now that you have a base of a routine, and then it really, you can feel the steps that you're moving towards. You can feel yourself growing, really accomplishing these challenges, and it's a great feeling. So I love the idea of that. And, that's kind of something that I do myself. When you feel yourself plateau with a goal or something that you're trying to accomplish, feel free to change it. And it doesn't always have to be, increasing a challenge. It could just be changing it. Maybe you start something and you realize that it's not actually aligning with your values or something that you want to continue working towards, and that's fine. The great part is it's your life, it's yourself. You can change what you want to do and set yourself up for success. That's a huge theme with our wellness program, is not trying to jump in too quickly. Change doesn't happen overnight a lot of the time, things like that. So being able to slow everything down, look at it from different perspectives, try and foresee things that might pop up. That is what's really going to get you through those tough days over time, through the days, through the weeks, through the months, is that consistency, which is kind of the theme that we have going on right now. So, Lee, do you have anything to share? Any maybe like advice for goal setting or habits when you're kind of getting in like a few weeks in up to a few months?
I think one thing that I will always tell anyone who's trying to start a new habit in terms of any sort of, healthy lifestyle change is to always allow yourself some grace. I think a lot of times, an example is setting a New Year's resolution. We set these really big, lofty goals that don't align necessarily with what our everyday life looks like. And sometimes we kind of set ourselves up and sabotage ourselves because we say, okay, I don't do any of this right now. I don't walk, I don't do anything, but I'm gonna go to the gym 6 times a week this week. You have to start with what's realistic for your schedule and for your lifestyle, and start making small changes. And also, like I said, allowing yourself grace that if one day you're only able to get to the gym 3 times a week, or maybe you're not able to at all. Just making sure that you know that you're not, you're not failing. It's just life, and allowing yourself the ability to reset and refocus. And sometimes you have to reevaluate your goals that you set for yourself. And maybe you start out with the best intentions and you realize maybe this isn't something that's realistic for me right now. And it's totally okay to realign those things with your long-term goal. So, I don't ever want anyone to get discouraged when they're doing this. Just always allow yourself that grace and know that everything is always changing, and it is okay to make those changes when it comes to your goal setting.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And just jumping off of that, I think something that a lot of us could use a little help remembering after the past couple years is a goal is a goal, no matter how small or big it may be. So I know a lot of us, myself included, there are some days that maybe you drink no water, but it's just getting out of bed, doing the minimum that you can, being here at the district to support, each other, support the kids. We've had a lot going on. So if your goal is just a few minutes of something, or if it seems really small, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's actually a great way to practice goal setting, to practice healthy lifestyle behaviors, and taking note of how you react to things. So maybe how you react to something not going as well as you thought, or something, going better than you thought. Take note of those and build your lifestyle around it. There's a lot of skills that we can develop that are really helpful, and that's what's going to be what gets you through to the long term. I like that you mentioned connecting with your long-term goals. You can also have multiple goals going on at the same time. But if that's overwhelming for you, maybe you only focus on one. Going back to, again, it's personal for all of us. So I think it's really great to kind of look at the big picture, look at the small picture, and just be proud of what you're doing. You all joined the webinar today. You're all part of the program. That's a great step. There's a lot of resources out there for you that, we kind of work hard to keep updated, to keep on there, to share with you guys, to give you information about. But maybe you only have time to use one, or maybe only one or two seem relevant at the time, but that may change. It's not linear. It's really a jumbled mess. Progress looks different for everybody. And, it's just fun along the way. I enjoy connecting with you guys, seeing all of your social wall posts. It's amazing. When Lee and I are in the office together, I tell her how excited I am about some of the posts that I see, because you guys are connecting with each other. We don't always have to be at the same campus. We don't have to be near each other. We can keep a safe distance and everything if we need to. But having this platform to bring all of us together and discuss things like this, that's really the whole point. So social support is also something that's amazing. You can lean on friends, you can have accountability buddies. Some of you have already done that. That's one of the most important pieces of goals. A lot of people I know will find that a turning point in terms of maybe something being a little bit more challenging versus very successful or feeling very motivated is sharing that with other people. So when you start telling people about your goals, people that you trust and you feel comfortable sharing it with, that a lot of times gives you kind of a boost. So maybe sharing with your coworkers that you see every day that you want to, complete something, and then, they'll start asking about it, or friends, family, having those accountability pieces. And then in addition to something like maybe your Sherman token at home, maybe you want to write down a quote on it that really resonates with you and kind of gets you back up after those tough days, things like that are supporting yourself and even supporting each other along the way. Those are some really great options. And, we have a ton of this information that we love to share with you guys. If you ever have questions, you can feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Lee. Reach out to each other. We're all in the same district. So even though we're not all in the same area, not all at the same campus, we are all in this together. And I have no doubt that each one of you is really cheering for all of the other people. We really cheer for each other. It's great to celebrate our wins, but Also, a lot of you have had some great personalized advice that I've seen on the social wall and that I've heard from each other, in other conversations. It's great. A lot of times a different point of view is really, really helpful, since all we know is really